Hey everyone, thanks for coming back to Cooking Course. I'm Chef Todd Moore. We are demystifying recipes here. We're trying to get you back into your kitchen and have fun and not let somebody else tell you whether you're right or wrong. Only you can tell you whether you're right or wrong. I don't do that. Come up with your own stuff. And we've been doing pasta episodes for what seems like forever now. And I would not leave you without pasta sauces to go on all these pastas that you've made. Yesterday, fettuccine. Today, a basic tomato sauce. There are two elements to our tomato sauce, and tomato sauce is one of the 5 mother sauces, and it's a unique, anyway, tomato sauce is, I don't want to contradict myself, tomato sauce, the thickener and the liquid are both tomato, and it starts with 2 parts. The first is tomato concasse, and if you go back to episode 18 of Cooking Course, you'll learn about tomato concasse, so I'm going to assume that you did that. If you haven't, click pause, and then go back to the tomato. That was my pause. And then go back to that other episode, and then click play. And then we'll be doing this again. So that's a good thing. You're in control. You can pause and play and so on. Tomato concasse is the first part of this. The second is the base for whatever you'd like. Do you want to make a meat sauce? Well, then we're going to saute, render fat from meat, add whatever vegetables we want, add that to the tomato concasse. You want to do a vegetable sauce? Well, sure. We'll saute some garlic and onions and whatever else, add that to the tomato concasse. You want to do more like a carbonara sauce? Saute some bacon, add some peas, render the fat, add that to the tomato sauce. So it's these 2 different elements of the tomato sauce that empower you to make any sauce that you'd like. Your tomato concasse and then anything else that you want, in my opinion. So the first thing I've got on the stove back here is a pot of boiling water, and I've got 3 nice tomatoes that I can use. First thing we do though is core the tomato. Remember our friend the paring knife, episode 4 or so? See, when you've done more than 100 episodes, you feel really cool. When you refer back to the previous episodes, and I'm feeling pretty cool about more than 100 episodes. So here's my tomato, here's my paring knife. Tomato, meat, paring knife. Hello, hello. What I do is set my thumb on the paring knife here as a depth gauge, and I'm going to push this into the tomato at an angle and turn the tomato. So I get the core to come right out, plop, pull that out, and I've cored the tomato. Now on the other side of the tomato it gets an X, and this is going to be necessary for the skin to withdraw in the boiling water, and this will go right into my boiling water. The other 2 tomatoes will do the same. Every tomato is a different size. Every tomato is a different ripeness. So please don't ask me how long do you poach the tomatoes for. You poach them until you start to see the skin withdraw like this. And actually, the riper the tomato, the more quickly this will happen. What I'm going to also look for is that X that I made on the bottom of the tomato to see when the skin starts peeling back from that. Right now, this is just about starting to happen, that the skin peels back. They're not quite ready yet. Again, I'm doing this not with a clock, but with my eyes. Now, I'm watching all these tomatoes, and when I start to see the skin split, like this, you see that splitting? Where the skin can come right off. The object is not to cook the tomato underneath, it's just to cook the skin. But as soon as I see that skin starting to split, it goes into a bath of ice water to shock it. Stop the cooking immediately so that we don't cook the tomato, we just render the skin from it. And now I'll go back and look at some of my other ones. This guy, can you see through all the fog there? There we go. You see how the skin starts to split here so I can peel it? There we go. It just starts to wipe away. This one's done. Into the ice water. I'll do that with the third one also. Out of the ice water, it's time to peel and seed the tomatoes. And this skin should peel right off. If it doesn't peel off, you haven't cooked them well enough. Once we peel all the skin off, one of the things about the tomato is that we know where the seeds are. They're in all these chambers, right? These chambers run this way. So if you go ahead and cut the tomato in this fashion, you'll never get to the seeds that's in this chamber over here. So always cut the tomato across the equator, and now you've exposed all the seeds that are in the tomato. Simply with my thumb, I'm going to go ahead and flick those out. Or, to make it a little easier, you can just squeeze the tomato over and squeeze it. The idea is to get all those seeds and the skin out. Now once I've got my tomato concasse done and I have my tomato halves that are all seeded, I can be assured that I'm not going to have skins or seeds in my tomato sauce. And you know, I always tell people that art is open, cooking is open to artistic impression, and though you're never wrong. And I try never to tell people that they're wrong, with a few pet peeve exceptions. You're wrong if you have seeds floating in your tomato sauce. You need to get them out. You're wrong if you have these little skin quills that stick in people's teeth. To make a good tomato sauce, we need to get the skin and the seeds out. So our concasse now can be left either chunky if we want a chunky tomato sauce, or we can bring it over to our food processor and puree it to make a smoother tomato sauce. This is entirely up to you, but in the meantime we'll start on the second step, which is our saute of either vegetables, or if we want to do bolognese meat, maybe we'll do both. Alright, 2 pans side by side, heated, a little cup of water to see that they are indeed hot and the water bounces all over the place. Then what we need is a little bit of olive oil. Let's clear some of that water so we don't get a splatter. We'll get a tablespoon or so of olive oil in both pans. One's going to be bolognese. Well, we're going to make a little variation on it. And the other one's going to be vegetarian. In the vegetable one, we'll go ahead and saute some onions. We'll give it some onions also in the other one. In our meat bolognese, we've got some ground turkey. So we're going to go ahead and add some ground turkey to it. And we'll make this a ground turkey bolognese sauce, render some of that fat from it, and of course work on a pan fond. In our vegetarian one, there won't be any fond, of course. We have no fat being rendered, but we can add a little bit of garlic to it as well. And our vegetarian sauce, I think we're going to make this a little chunkier sauce, and maybe the bolognese we'll go ahead and make a little thinner sauce. So to our vegetarian sauce, I went ahead and added some of the chopped tomatoes. And if you wanted to add red peppers to this, if you wanted to add green peppers, anything you wanted, you can go ahead and start to add to that. To my bolognese sauce, we need to deglaze that pan and drop tongs. So some red wine is going to go in there because this is going to get a little bit more of a beef flavor. That deglazes the pan, and we'll let that cook off until it reduces. Once the red wine has reduced from our bolognese and I've softened up these tomatoes a little bit more, now I can go ahead with some vegetable broth for my vegetarian, and a little bit of beef broth if I like for my bolognese. Go ahead and add that, and let those two reduce down until they're almost dry. Once these have lost most of their liquid, I'll go ahead and add my nicely finely chopped tomatoes to my bolognese sauce. And to our vegetarian sauce, we'll go ahead and add some tomato paste to give it a little thicker quality to it. And it also give it a little bit more tang, the tanginess of the tomato. But you know what? Let's add some tomato paste to there as well. There's no recipe here. We're just making it up. And that'll thicken our nice vegetarian sauce, the tomato paste, and give it a little better color. With our bolognese, that's just going to give it a deeper, redder color. And from here, it just has to do with what seasonings that you like. Now, I wish I could tell you it was more exciting than that, but that's the basic method. The recipe is up to you to decide on. But just keep in mind, once you know that tomato concasse, once you're able to skin and seed those tomatoes, you can put it in a food processor or a blender and make it really thin, or you can chop it to be really chunky. Then your second portion is whether you want to have some kind of protein, and it could be chicken or shrimp or crayfish or anything that you'd like, sauteed in a pan with that tomato puree or tomato concasse, or a vegetarian style where the tomatoes are built on other vegetables. The method is really that easy. Don't let Grandma Luigi tell you, oh, it took so many hours, it took 5 or 6 hours to make the... Yeah, okay, Grandma, if you had nothing better to do, that's great. Today, in this day and age, we got lots of things to do. We want to make good stuff, but we want to make it quickly. We don't want to do it fine, we want to do it cooking coarse.